Welcome to In the Cut, the show that gets you up close and personal with BN and our community.
Good afternoon, evening, or morning. Welcome to In the Cut, the show that gets you up close and personal with Black non-believers and our community. My name is Edith Gray, and I am your host for the show today. If you are new to the channel, In the Cut is a production of Black Non-Believers. We're a 501c3 organization headquartered in the Atlanta area. We connect with other Blacks and allies who are living free of religion and might otherwise be shunned by family and friends by providing a caring, friendly, and informative community. Instead of accepting dogma, we determine truth and morality through reason and evidence. The mission of Black Non-Believers is to provide secular fellowship. We nurture and support non-believers in coming out. We encourage pride in non-religious identities. We educate the public on the history and the current state of non-belief in the Black community. We organize events and charitable causes. BN welcomes all, regardless of age, gender identity, sexual identity, national origin, or racial identity. However, our content and our work prioritize Black non-religious voices. At this time, I want to welcome the founder and president of Black Non-Believers, Mandisa Thomas, to the show. Hello, Mandisa. How are you?
Hello, Edith. Welcome and thank you. It is a pleasure to be here on this fabulous Saturday afternoon, the start of March, which begins Women's History Month. And before we get started, actually, we can talk about Women's History Month and how important it is for a few minutes, before we get into the show. And, the theme for this year's Women's History Month is moving forward, women educating, through educating and inspiring. And I'm pretty sure I butchered that just a little bit, but, it really is important, that we continue to honor and celebrate all of the women, including us, historically, currently, who are doing some important and amazing work for liberation and justice and just, overall. And I am just really, really happy to be going from Black History Month to Women's History Month. And again, and I know that at BN, we are, we have been instrumental in creating history, especially being a primarily women-led organization and women represented and public facing. And that's really, really important, especially as we see the changing landscape of how religion looks in our community. There are more women coming out. There are more women questioning. And we want to make sure that our voices are fairly represented when it comes to being in our communities, as well as the work we continue to do. Yeah. Did you have anything to add to that, Edith? Yeah.
No, I was just thinking about all of the women that have made such great contributions to our society and to our world over the years. And just like you say, making sure that they get credit for what they've done and that they are recognized. I mean, it's more than anyone even thinks. They throw around a few names here and there over the month, but really, I think there's more if you scratch the surface than we really even think about. So it's if everyone or if anyone has the time, just look out for some that are not mentioned all the time to give them the shine that they deserve. And we're not even talking about people from the past. We're talking about women right now today that are making contributions and making history. So.
Absolutely. And speaking of the work that we've been doing here at Black Non-Believers, again, with our organization being primarily women-led and women and all folks empowered, right? we definitely want to make sure that we emphasize this. And so with that, we want to play our short promo video for our upcoming event that we hope that you have either registered for or plan on registering for in the very, very near future. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. So we want to see you there. We will, of course, continue to share the links in the chat. It's already in the description, but please be sure to join us for this very monumental event that we are going to show our promo for right now. Black Nonbelievers is proud to present the Revival of Reason, The Homecoming. From March 21st through the 23rd in the Atlanta area, join us for a weekend of activism, education, community building, and fun. Featuring Chris Cameron, Candace Gorham, Cynthia McDonald, Jeremiah Camara, Nikki G, Kyria Santa, Mandisa Thomas, and more. Our keynote speaker is Nigerian activist Mubarak Bala, with special performances from Shelley Siegel, Tenzin, and the Dallas Gospel Ensemble. Get your all-inclusive ticket at BlackNonbelievers.org. You can register to attend in person or online. We'd like to send a special thank you to our sponsors for this event: California Free Thought Day, Compassion and Choices, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation. There is still time to register and support this monumental event. See you there.
Hey, I like it. It's good.
Yes. And as y'all can see, Edith, this is going to be the host with the most. And we also like to thank the American Humanist Association for also becoming a sponsor for this event, but we still need y'all there. If you haven't already booked your ticket, please do. It's going to be a really great weekend. And if you aren't already an official BN member, please become one. It's for a very low annual fee. You can become an official member of Black Nonbelievers. Get discounts to our major events, including the Revival of Reason, as well as being merchandise. You become eligible for voting as well, running for officer positions. We are working on a membership card, so that is soon to come. But yes, please do continue to support our work by becoming an official member, and as always, with your tax-deductible donations. Yep, I'm still here, Edith.
Okay. Yeah, so I really do hope everyone will come out for the Revival of Reason. I am looking forward to it, and I really am honored to be the, I guess I'll call it Master of Ceremonies, the host. And it'll be my first time at the Revival, and looking forward to it. Like Mandisa said, there's going to be a lot of great networking and team building. So I would recommend everybody come out to that. And I don't know if you mentioned, but we do want to mention to everyone watching today that we are monetized, and that you can do super chats during our live stream today, and they'll be read on the air. And so you can donate through super chat, and we've got in the notes how you can donate otherwise. That's all I had, really. Any other?
Nope, that's it. I am in SeaCon mode. As you can tell, I'm wearing our BN SeaCon t-shirt from 2024. It was white with blue, with the blue lettering. And I was just feeling like I'm in a BN SeaCon mode. If you've never been, it is a fantastic experience. So that's another thing to look forward to that we do here at BN. We like to expand people's worldview through in-person connections in ways that people may not have ever traveled before or have been done so in a setting like this. And so I always find it to be very innovating. It's always very fun. It's very uplifting. And we really get folks that, they connect beyond those events. They form
Mhm.
lifelong connections as well as ways that we can strategize and build for the future. And so these are just some of the ways that we like to do that, because in this very, very tough climate right now, we still have to find joy. We still have to find ways that we are uplifting and supporting each other. That's going to be very, very, and still educating each other and figuring out
Absolutely.
how to move forward in all of this. So let's just continue to do that.
Okay, I think you are right on the money with that. The cruise was great. I did, as you said, made a lot of great friends, and creating community and having someone in your corner to talk through life's challenges is something that you can do as being a part of this group. Having somebody like-minded who understands, the the things that we go through as non-believers is really important. And I just have to break away for a minute, Mandisa, because it was on my mind this week as
Yeah.
I have gone through a really tough time with my mother, who was recently diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh no.
And it's easy to, and then it's times like these when you can see why something magical might appeal to someone. Magical cures or a sky daddy to talk to might feel appealing in times when you're feeling pressed against the wall, as it were, when life is lifing on you, you know. And that is why part of the reason we are here as a community, because we understand that, there's really there's really no one to save us but ourselves. Uh, that's the evidence that we have, right? And
Mhm.
it is times like these where we are really depending on one another and our community to be there to listen and to talk and to just provide a listening ear and a shoulder to hang on to sometimes. So, and
Yes,
I've done that.
absolutely.
I've done that, and that's just something that was I thought I'd bring up as a community. This is what we're here for.
Absolutely. We are here to support each other through hard times. If there are things that you need, you let us know. I've met your mom. And so, of course, I am so, my heart goes out to all of you, you and the family. And
Thank
so,
you.
yeah, we will
Thank you.
continue to be here because we all go through it. We're human. We are human
Right.
beings,
Right.
and it is important that we continue to support each other and do so without the whole, the platitude of, well, God's got it, or I'm going to pray for you and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah,
I'm getting a
yeah,
lot of
we
that.
we don't. Yeah, we
I'm
don't
getting
do
a
that
lot of
over
that.
here.
Yeah.
But
And
all right. Mhm. No, go ahead.
interestingly enough, the hospital has a chaplain, and the chaplain
Uh-huh.
comes to the room and they do their thing. And my mother knows that I am not a Christian, and I'm lucky that she still accepts me. And so the chaplain comes to the room. I take my leave. I go for a walk. I do whatever, uh, you know, while she has her time. But it's just not, I don't
It's
participate,
not for
but
you. Yeah.
not for me.
Mhm.
But
All
yeah,
right. Well, we'll continue. Of course, you'll continue to have our love and support through all of this,
thank
and we
you.
really appreciate you being able to host today and to get and to get through the show today. So yeah, with that being
Thank
said, we are gonna
you.
get started. So
Yes, we
I'm
will.
gonna
All
gonna
right.
move to the round.
Now it is our pleasure to introduce our special guest, Brother Ankh West. Ankh, also known as Godkilla and the Real Black Atheist, is a science advocate, cultural critic, and outspoken proponent of evidence based reasoning. As the founder of the community of skeptics, he challenges pseudoscience, misinformation, and dogmatic Afrocentric narratives with a commitment to historical accuracy and scientific literacy. Ankh West is recognized for his no nonsense approach to debates on African history, religion, and science, pushing for a deeper understanding of anthropology, archaeology, and genetics within the African American community. His mission is to empower people through factual knowledge, critical thinking, and a scientific worldview. Through lectures, online discussions, and community outreach, Ankh West dismantles myths while advocating for the inclusion of African Americans in STEM fields. He is a leading voice in the movement for scientific awareness, working to bridge the gap between cultural identity and empirical truth. Welcome to the show, Ankh. Nice to have you.
How you doing, sister? How you feeling today? Thanks for
I'm
having me.
great. You're welcome. Welcome, welcome. Well, as we ask all of our guests, please share your religious upbringing and how you arrived at your atheist identity.
Wasn't hard. Raised in an environment of great black women and great black men, and that's kind of the start of it. And having the ability to think, so my ability to think wasn't taken away from me. My first experience with religion would be with my great grandmother, Grandma Rice, one of my favorites. Every day we would get up early, not every day, every Sunday we would get up early and go to church. When I went to church, I noticed the background behind the preacher, and I noticed the stained glass windows. The stained glass windows had European imagery on it. And so I never had a connection to that. I never could understand why people in the church was howling, screaming, and up and down. It seemed like to imagery that didn't look like them. And so that was my first key. That's the first key to questioning. So from that point right there, I never got sucked all the way in. We have the basic understanding that, there is something greater than ourselves, but we don't know how to explain it. And we don't quite understand what is it that is greater than ourselves. Now I've come to understand that the totality of humanity and the totality of the cosmos is what is greater than ourselves. And we're just a small integral piece of it. So that's my first experience with religion, is seeing the imagery of people and things that just did not look like me.
The idea that there's something greater than ourselves does seem to inspire a lot of people into religion, but just like you, I saw it more as the universe as being the awesome thing, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, when did you decide that a more direct approach towards atheism and science literacy was needed for Black folks in particular?
Trying to read books like this, like Cheikh Diop's, okay? The great Dr. Ben, okay? And this is an interesting trail I had to go down. And so these books, strangely, oddly or not, led me to pseudoscientific ideas in the Afrocentric community, and Afrocentricity, however you want to say it. And so as I engulfed and read these works, and being close to a cult, the Nuwapians, these pseudoscientific ideas, I would say, promoted me to fighting for the liberation of African Americans or Black people. I would say things like the white man is the devil. Bet I would overemphasize things, but it was my love for African people. It was my love for African Americans that actually drew me in. So that's the first thing, is your love for your people. There are people out there who will take advantage of that. And these pseudoscientists will take advantage of your love for Black people and introduce all kinds of crazy ideas. And you might just find yourself in a cult. So having a strong family background, I never actually got sucked up deep into the cult. I never lived in the cult. I just stayed on the outskirts because I was smart enough to recognize that I don't need a father, I don't need a mother. But I supported the movement with my intellect and my intelligence. So what I thought. And that got me back into interested. That got me interested back into reading again. Full force, reading the crazy books. But the particular group of brothers and sisters that I was with, we wasn't exactly in it. And we read all types of works like Dr. Ben, that type of work. And so it's the pseudoscientific ideas that actually brought me to YouTube. It's the pseudoscientific ideas that actually had me, Mandisa will tell you, when we started the Black Atheists of Atlanta. Okay. I was actually called in. I wasn't with the first group. All right. I actually came in and ran away. The whole group was craziest thing ever. But It's just that was my foundation with pseudoscience. And
Okay.
as I grew and as I developed, I started to recognize what pseudoscience was and what it wasn't. Now, at this point, I had a pretty large following. So the question is, how do you change in the middle of the game? I think you have a question there that kind of speaks to how do you change your approach? You know, what made you change your approach? So I'll get right to that. What made me change my approach was once you start to say things like, black man is the original, black woman, we the original. We start in Africa. But then you talk about how all humans don't come from Africa. Then you talk about how the white man came from a different part, and this race of people came from another part. And so I started having conflicting ideas at that point. You can hear yourself, well, that don't make no sense. Okay. And as you start to reason and get out of religious thought, so I thought I was getting out of religious thoughts by leaving religion, okay, and being a free thinker or being in the conscious community or being around it, okay. I really wasn't. I was actually contradicting myself. I was actually building a playbook of pseudoscientific ideas that I would express and cause more people to come into this quote unquote liberation of black people. So how can you say you're actually liberating black people if you're against vaccine science? So in one moment, people are, I'm liberating the black man. The Nation of Islam do it. They all do it. Moorish Science Temple. They're all against the health and well-being of black people while saying out this side of their mouth that they're actually motivating and helping the black community. So I started to realize some contradictions in myself. So as I recognized the contradictions in myself, I started to fix those contradictions. And the only thing that I found that was able to fix the contradictions was being literate in science and science literacy. So I've been on that mission since then. As a matter of fact, me and Mandisa, we had a fallout. It wasn't exactly me, but my influence, I carry a hell of an influence at times. My influence, I'm like the army. So when the army come in, then it's on. And I was a little rude to the sister. I've since apologized. So I want to apologize to her again on her platform for not allowing you to have your journey. When we sit back and look at it, when you look at the whole journey we taken, I say, man, she was way more sharper than I was in the beginning. But it was opposite. You know what they say, when the student is ready, a teacher will appear. Okay. Right. But you never know who the student is. You never know who the teacher was. So when you look back at it, she was actually teaching that situation, and it was very interesting. And so, I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate y'all movement. And I think it's important for sisters to express themselves. So I look at myself as the Mbungala. We don't know who the Mbungala is. That's an ancient warrior class of Africans. And they was the protectors of Queen Nzinga. They supported her. They supported her in her mission to conquer other wild, crazy, disrespectful Africans in colonial powers, like the Dutch, Europeans, the French. She is a warrior extraordinaire. I like to talk about her all the time because she sit in the same seat that y'all sit in. A whole bunch of wild men trying to tell you how to get the mission out there. Now we know this mission is important for African Americans and just the human population, period. But men will look at you and say, why are you doing this? Or don't like the way you move, or question your sexuality, all kind of things, right? Don't think you should be talking to men. These things sit in the back of all men's minds. Simple as that. And so I'm there as the Mbungala. I got your back. And I know later on we'll get into the conversation when I seen the sister. Not that she needed some help, but I knew it was time to go ahead and rise up. But go ahead. Let me let y'all finish with your question because I could talk.
Yes. No, that's what we want, Ankh. And, I appreciate you inviting me on your platform back in November of last year. And the one thing I myself never apologized for was for the way I said things, and your child was there. And so I have to, and a lot of people don't know about that, right? But the thing is that as a movement and as a people, we will have our differences. We will, it is how we work through them that makes a huge difference. And so I give you all the respect for your journey and how you were able to, even if, because I grew up in the Black conscious community, you know, everything that you were saying, I lived that. And I think it's a good foundation for, like you said, information and some forms of for some forms of education. But when it becomes like, you know, the patriarchy and the systems that we're fighting against, and that's when it becomes an issue. So but yes, I appreciate any opportunity that we have to continue to work together, even if, you know, even if there are some things that we differ on. But at the end of the day,
Right.
we have like a similar mission. So I
Indeed.
definitely you know, I definitely appreciate that. But this is your show today for you to spotlight you today. So I'm gonna step back to the
Okay.
back.
Yeah, I really can appreciate the fact that that people with the same goals, starting with the love of Black people, is where we go from here, because we want liberation. We want true freedom for our people. And it does take time and a journey within ourselves to get to the point where we can pull others along with us.
Correct.
And that was I really appreciate that interaction between you and Mandisa. So you touched on a lot of different topics and the pseudoscience stuff. The pseudoscience is a real stickler. I point to it as a reason for why Black folks are in the predicament we are in today. It started with the whole idea, the pseudoscientific idea that there were differences between humans, that some of us were more human than others. And even right now today, you're seeing things online about, well, the Europeans are Neanderthals, they're not really human.
Correct.
You know, so that's one thing about pseudoscience that we need to be careful of. And I'm glad you're taking up this mantle to push science in the right direction. And there was something else I was going to say, but I'll come back to it. So you've been in these streets for a while now, in these internet streets. Have you found that you've had to, you probably touched on this already, you found that you had to refine your approach and your
did.
information along the way?
No, I actually did. And if I would have just taken the time to just listen to what the sister was talking about, she could have shared her experience of what I was going through and what I was about to go through with the, you know, with the Black power and just the whole mindset, which is, like she said, I agree, is a good state of mind to be in at first, but at some point you have to grow. That's a good way to snatch you out religion. But what you don't recognize is that you're moving back into another set of beliefs. That the answer to the questions lie in understanding science. Because what is science? Science, what is it that science wants to know? Science wants to know the natural world. Okay, it wants to understand how natural phenomenon. It wants to understand natural phenomenon, how it occurs and why it occurs. That's what science is. And so as we profess, right, as they professed in the conscious community of being a natural people and all that, they actually went against their own mandate. Because if the mandate is to say I'm a natural person and I want the natural things, then to understand the natural world would be through science, not through religion.
Right.
Okay? Because science is to know the natural world, and religion is to understand the ununderstandable, things that you cannot understand. It's the things outside of nature. Once again, religion is the things that are outside of nature, which is outside of understanding. But science is actually talking about the natural world. So if we was truly understanding and versed in what it was, our mission was to be natural, then we would have cleaved the science, and we didn't. And so my mission, as it changed over time, was to get back to that recognition. But wait a minute, if I'm a natural person, then why not understand the natural world? And those that understand the natural world will always defeat those who are steeped in religion.
Right. And as
So I
you were
had to change
saying,
my course.
outside of nature is supernatural.
Supernatural.
And I don't believe anything that's supernatural.
Of course not, because it's
right.
It's belief, supernatural world. So yeah, religion is strictly dealing with the supernatural, and science is dealing with the natural world. So by default, African Americans and indigenous people should look to science. So,
Right.
that's so I had to change that. I had to work through the kinks. It was hard because science is counterintuitive, and you have to always check yourself. You have to always recognize that you're fallible at times. That
Mhm.
religion knows everything. Science doesn't claim to know that. Science is not actually looking for the truth; it's looking for the approximates. Religion is the truth, and there's no mistakes in it.
Mhm.
And we do this in our daily lives. The way we think about things, it comes from a religious perspective. So it's hard to recondition our minds. So for my mission is to recondition our minds so that we can look at it from a natural standpoint of view. But I'm not knocking anybody's religion. I only get at you about your religion when you try to use it against me, to embarrass me, to make me look little, to belittle me, because we got the answer to the test. Okay, we know what's going on. We got it. There's nothing you can say in religion that a well-studied person won't be able to handle, because you just wait. It's a thing we say. I'm waiting for you to start flying. And as soon as you start flying and leave the earth with the spookism, I got you. No matter how intelligent you sound leading up to that point, there's going to be a part where you start to fly through the air, and that's when we got you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the hardly initiated episode where you were recently teamed up with Mandisa during a debate. Why do you think it's important to engage Christian apologists and call out dishonest interlocutors?
Well, I know y'all don't do a lot of that, but I'm built for it. And I actually started out with my family, my friends, and just general conversation, that I wanted to make sure that's the only way you can actually practice. So you got to practice on somebody to get to this point.
Right.
And so I just use them as practice. And so practicing, practice make you perfect. It gets your A game up. And so hearing the conversation that Mandisa had on that platform, I was like, wow, they actually cheating. They're actually being dishonest. They're actually using her womanhood against her. And low-hanging fruit at that point, because they was talking about morality and they was trying to get in the fix. I was like, man, they lying and cheating. And so I would like to say this, that religion is a social cultural system. A lot of times we actually mischaracterize what religion is. We being atheists, we want to put it like, oh, relegated to nothing. Hold on now. It's a social cultural system set beliefs by groups of people and individuals around the world. And so if you want to know a people, then you study their deity, because their deity contains the ideas and concepts that the people espouse on. The ideas and concepts don't just pop up out of nowhere. Human beings do it. So if you want to know about Europeans, study their God. Out of nowhere, their God just will wipe you out. I'm going to flood the earth. Let's flood the earth. Kill them because they're not listening. Wait a minute. Did you not make the people? Did you not know what the people was going to do? You want to understand Hindus, that religion, people in India, you study their deities. If you want to understand indigenous people, study their cultural concepts, their social structures, which is contained in their rituals and their beliefs. If you want to understand Asians from China, then you study their ancient religions. And so as you study the religions and the deities, you're actually studying the people. And as you study the people, you get an understanding of it. The problem with religion is that we'll set ourselves to one religion in disrespect of other people's culture. And that's exactly where they was on Hardly Initiated. They was in that area where we can say what we want to say because she doesn't believe. And she's a sinner, right? And she can't get help without the quote unquote Jesus. She doesn't believe in Jesus, so she can never get forgiven for her sins. I like to say the power in Jesus is through the culture of Christianity. The power is not amongst those who do not practice Christianity. We give no relevance to that. Only Christians have power in Christianity. And then the arrogancy of the Christians is they think they got the God. But how could that be? There's at least 2,500 gods on record. They have their own set codes of conducts and morality code. Was when I jumped into the quote unquote conversation that at the end of the day, the moral code contained in the Bible is simply the moral code of those that were in Judea and Palestine.
Right.
These ideas are fostered, and by the time they get literate and start to read and write, they produce a deity that actually talks about their moral code. Now, if you're just sitting up crazy as hell, thinking that morality popped up out of the middle of nowhere, then you crazy as hell. But in the grand scheme of things, those human beings, no matter what you say, one said that their particular God is the God. The people said that. And then the people claim that they were inspired by God, but it's still the people saying it. At no point in time does God come down and says, my children. Never. It's the human beings always saying it. Why do human beings have to talk for God? And so same with the morality code. They was up there cheating. They claim that morality comes from their God. And that some kind of way, Mandisa does not have morality because she does not believe in a God. And I was like, wow, that's low-hanging fruit. So I got to bed with the energy of the Ngala like I supposed to, right? And we went to work. She was right here. I wanted to raise it about right kind of head to let them know that they was actually in trouble and that the conversation wasn't as cordial as it should have been. It was cordial when the brother and the sister was talking, when they brought the other two warriors up, because that's what they was, right? They was coming for the hit, right? So you got Mandisa and the other brother, two people. You got the two hosts, and then you got two other people. So that's like five people, 5 against 1. Now she was doing her Nzinga thing. She was batting them half to death. Yes, she was. But I said, you know what? We got to chop their heads off and put it on the stakes and let them know. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and realize you just got beat up. So I wanted to make sure that they understood that they actually got beat up. That there's actually consequences to what you're talking about. And by the way, don't disrespect the sisters. Don't disrespect the sisterhood. Don't disrespect somebody that's actually there to help you. You never was telling them not to practice their religion. There are certain things as human beings, so that we can respect other human beings, we should know. We should know that moral codes are subjective and they can be found in different cultures. And your moral code is no better than mine. These things will help humanity work together better. But those arrogant Christians, they got the God. Well, since you got the God, then let's talk about slavery. So what slavery actually did, it was cunning and baffling. It erased your moral social structure. How did it erase your moral social structure? It made your moral social structure illegal. How did it make it illegal? They produced certain codes that said you could not practice your religion. You cannot say certain words. They felt like your social cultural system would motivate you to fight against your oppression. So that was erased. That was made illegal. So your moral standards and your moral codes were erased and it was replaced. But the real interesting thing about this, religion is hard. Religion does not go through different cultures very, very fast, right? People are resistant to that. So as we were resistant to the implementing and forced servitude to Christianity, we actually put our moral social system within Christianity, but we hid it so well that over time we forgot. And so these generations that we deal with now, a whole lot of black women was on that channel and hoorah, the victory and all that Christianity, which is wild to me, right? They really need y'all. They don't know it, but they really need y'all, right? As we hoorah on Christianity, we had actually forgot that we had hit our moral, social, cultural system within the religion that they call Christianity. We can find it today. You hear your mother say something, she still identifies without even knowing it to those old ancient African spiritual beliefs. I'm not saying I believe in none of that. I'm simply saying it's a moral, social, cultural structure that in our communities we used to practice wholeheartedly without even knowing it. So for me, that conversation was great. I suggest everybody go. It's got about 30, 40, 50, 60,000 views now. It's a great conversation. And Mandisa, she did the wise old thing. Go ahead and tap Ankh in. I appreciate that. Tap him in because they was trying to just play with you. But that's how I felt about that conversation. I felt like it was a
Yeah,
great
I thought it was. Yeah, the thing is that I know, Edith did across generations. We've done we've engaged in conversations and debates with Christians, and like I said, I love that you have the energy for it
Yeah, you done
because
with that. You
for
like,
me,
Right.
I start getting ready to fight. I'm like, look, but I do realize that there is definitely good because I see we have one in the chat now. Look like we got a little troll in there, which is
Mhm.
fine. But it's interesting because if people truly want to understand where we're coming from, then all they got to do is listen. But that's definitely difficult for some people to do because they're still so involved with their religion that they're so emotionally tied to it
Yeah.
that it's just like, you know what, anything that we say against it to critique it may be considered an insult, but you know what, hey, that sounds like a you problem at the end at the end of the day. So yeah, I appreciate that you were backstage during that live stream because I was sitting up there like I remember I said this on a previous show, like what the format was supposed to be,
mm-hmm.
but then how they flipped it midstream, and I'm like, hold up. And so when Ty was saying that, well, I represent all Black atheists, and I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
I want to make it clear that
That's crazy.
many of us, especially who are public facing, can make, even if we make similar points, we express them differently. We all have good points that we make. Like Ankh can put things in ways that I cannot. And so all of our approaches and our methods are very important, and how we deliver them, is also diverse and important too. So don't put all of us in the same box.
no,
And so that's why I was like, nah, tag them in, because now y'all got three, yeah, 5 against 1. That means you jump. That means you in the hood, we call that being jumped,
yeah,
right?
you
So
got it.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not playing that around here. So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, I appreciate everything you had to say, because I'm like, if they're gonna have you in the queue, you might as well bring you up on stage so that we can make
Right.
this more level. And
Yeah.
it's not
That's fair.
just
Yeah.
simply, yeah, go ahead,
It
Edith.
wasn't. It wasn't a fair fight, but I'm not surprised though that that's what they
Hmm.
felt they had to do because, well, um, you run circles around them intellectually, rationally, with reason, and it's to a point where they just can't come up with anything else to say that makes sense, and so they have to bring in other folks to try to combat
Yes.
the truth of the matter. Um, but no, you did well. I always think you do well in debates. You were on Kent Hovind's show. You did the Jubilee show. And
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah.
really you do well on those. But yes, I was really glad to see Ankh show up for help, and I think that's the first time I had seen you on YouTube. Maybe back in the early days, maybe, but definitely it wasn't a fair fight, and so I'm glad you guys were able to work together.
I would like to say this though.
Yeah. Hmm.
It wasn't a fair fight because you was whipping the shit out of them. Trust me.
Okay.
And they knew it.
Well,
That's
that's
why they
why they
kept
have to
piling
have
on.
other
Why
people.
else would you pile on? If you fighting a one-on-one, come on, Tom. It was like a kung fu movie. Start pointing, different people coming in because you beating them up. Okay. The problem was you was real nice and you kept your ladylike composure, which you always supposed to. So I was like, oh, they need a warrior who just don't give a damn. They need somebody to step up there. They need a pseudo killer on deck. And big up to the pseudo killers is in the chat, man. Don't listen to Ron. He ain't our server. He's a natural born punching bag. We just beat him up to delusion. So don't worry about Ron Burkins. He gets beat up on a daily basis. You need people to beat up. You need to have people around you can just, blow your
Yes.
fist up.
Shout out.
Shout out to Ron and knock him out. And he's a good test. He's a test product. We test different ideas on him and see he can't get around it. That's important because that's what we do. So big up to the pseudo killers, man, and the whole crew, because that's what we do. We do it with elegance and grace. We have a lot of sisters just there. Matter of fact, we're so dynamic. We also have some people that are religious. Imagine that. Imagine that. Because you have
Right.
like natural
Yeah.
Christians. Although you don't believe Jesus died and came back to life. None of that. You don't see that. But just based off of your circumstance, that's what it is. Like, who the hell you going to tell in your family at times? Right? So we got to find ways around that. But so we have a diverse group of atheists, non-atheists, agnostics, all kind of things going on in pseudo killer army and dedicated pseudo killers. And so we're here for y'all. We're here for the debate. We want all the smoke because we have all the answers to the questions. Think about that. If you had, that's why I had to be an atheist, because not to say that all atheists are grounded in science. Not saying that. But once you're grounded in science, you got the tools to deconstruct anything that gets outside of nature. And this is what religion causes you to do. It causes you to get outside your body on regular occurrences. But this is a natural thing. Let me share my screen. Let me get you the
Yes.
gist
Yes.
of what I
Do
want to
that.
say.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let me kind of jump right here real quick.
All right. Here we go.
Let's see if y'all can see the slideshow. Let me see if I can. Okay, so y'all can see that. All right. Make sure the slides is turning. So okay. Religion as a byproduct of evolution. Religion may not be an adaptation, but a byproduct of evolved cognitive mechanisms. Cognitive traits evolved for survival may lead to supernatural beliefs. And this is what we're talking about. Humans are very susceptible to quote unquote supernatural beliefs. Key psychological mechanisms contribute to religious thought. Agency detection. Humans tend to infer agency behind events, even when none exist. Man, I just caught that touchdown. It had to be God. These traits evolve as a survival mechanism to detect threats. So if you're in ancient times in the green savannas and you walk near bushes and they rattle, you're going to run. You need to run. You got to detect it as a threat. It may not just be a threat. It may just be the wind blowing. But suppose it was a snake that could bite you. In those times, to get bit by a snake is death. May have led to beliefs in spirits, gods, or supernatural forces. But of course, religious ideas, byproducts of cognitive mechanisms designed for other purposes, artifacts of ability for imagined social worlds. We can imagine a whole social world based off of these cognitive mechanisms, and they don't even have to be real. The theory of the mind, the ability to infer thoughts and intentions in others. We do it all the time. A conversation, I know what she's about to say. I know what she's thinking, and can be wrong as hell. Helps in social interactions and predicting behavior. We always think we can predict a person's behavior. May contribute to beliefs in gods with awareness and intentions. Be at your job, working in your cubicle, you always know what that person over there is thinking about and what they're doing. At the end of the day, we become our own worst enemy. As we conquered the world, who was Homo sapiens sapiens' worst enemy? It was ourselves. Patterns, recognition, and casual reasoning. Humans seek patterns, even where none exist. Like the clouds, you'll see God in the clouds. You'll see angels and fire trucks in the clouds. Patternicity. This tendency evolved to make sense of the world, can lead to supernatural explanations for natural phenomena. In early times, before the age of reasoning, humans made all types of thoughts and ideas of things that was natural. Like, for instance, in the biblical text, they talk about Moses goes up on the mountain in a burning bush. Mountain is on fire. Well, at this point, why would any mountain be on fire? Well, the natural phenomenon would tell you it's a volcano, but they wouldn't have known that. Religious rituals as cognitive byproducts. Repetitive rituals exploit cognitive mechanisms for memory and habit. Religious behavior resembles evolved survival mechanisms, emotional and social reinforcement, sustain religious practices. Supporting research and theories. So we got religion as an outcome of evolved cognitive structures. Get that book 2001. Supernatural beliefs emerge from cognitive predispositions and big gods theory and social cohesion. Criticisms of the byproduct hypothesis. We always got to look at the criticisms because this is science. Some argue religion provides adaptive benefits rather than being a byproduct. So I go with the byproduct theory. Difficult to separate adaptation from byproduct in human cognition. Religious diversity complicates a single evolutionary explanation. Now, in conclusion, religion may stem from cognitive traits evolved for other purposes. Agency detection theory of the mind and pattern recognition play key roles, still an ongoing debate in evolutionary psychology. Once again, these are the references that I used. Y'all take a snapshot of that, and that's how we do it. And so, of course, I know I'm talking to an atheist audience, but you got to be better than the people you run into as an atheist. Simple as that. You got to be top notch. You got to be Michael Jordan on said subject matter, because they'll actually try to make you look stupid. I don't have no problem with my family. Not at all, because I beat them all half to death. I was just better than them. So Thanksgiving come, they know not to mess with me. I get into the religious conversation and we have fun because we can talk about it. And they recognize what I'm saying because I'm clear. So this presentation wasn't for the atheists. It was for your kids and your grandkids and your auntie and them, because you're going to run across them again. You have to be an example. Okay. You know, like I like to say, you know, I want to represent the change I want to see in the world. I don't want to run religion out of town. I understand that religion is a tool, as a byproduct. Okay, I understand that science and science literacy is a tool, both created by human beings, both created by the mind and thought process of human beings. But why is it that the Black American, African American community misplaced the tools, right? We try to put religion on things that need scientific literacy, and then vice versa. Makes no sense. We got to stop that. Why is it that religion is here in the lives of African Americans, okay, and science is here? Why is it that science is the white man's science? This is what we learned in the African Center community. Where's that? Oh, hold on. Okay. White man science. That's what they tell you when you start to talk about Charles Darwin. Oh, he's a racist. If he was a racist, so what? Is his theory right? I'm saying we have placed too much stock on a social cultural system that wasn't yours. This is clear. Forced into Christianity. Simple as that. Forced conversion by the sword. The edict, the papyrus bulls, right? These things are forcing indigenous people into changing their cultural understanding of the world around them. Even Charles Darwin, as he circumnavigated the globe, he felt like European culture was the best. But after he took that trip, and seen the variation in human beings, he started to recognize that, man, European culture might not be the best culture. But the only way he was able to understand that is because he circumnavigated the globe in a time when everybody thought that they religion, and everybody thought that they had the God, that everybody thought that they came from the Garden of Eden if you had come under the influence of colonialism. Now, why is the Garden of Eden important to African American people? Because as you subscribe to the Garden of Eden, you're actually subscribing to another set of other people's ancestors. Let me say it again. When you subscribe to the Garden of Eden, you're actually saying that my origin is in Turkey somewhere outside of Africa, and I'm giving praise and divine connection to other people's ancestors. That's not too bad, but you can't disrespect yours. I'm going to say it again. You can change up in the middle of the game if you want, but don't disrespect where you come from. So prior to Charles Darwin, people either thought they came from an anthill, even thought they popped up out the dirt in the middle of nowhere. There was no theory in place yet. So that's why Charles Darwin is important, no matter what the color of his skin is, to African people, and specifically those quote unquote African-centered people that claim that the black man, the black woman is the origin of humanity, but yet talk shit about Charles Darwin and talk crazy about the out of Africa theory. But wait a minute, you wouldn't even know about the out of Africa theory if not for Charles Darwin. Did you know that Charles Darwin was one of the first people to say, yeah, black people, the Africans, they start humanity started in Africa? You wouldn't even have known about that. But why would you have known about that? You weren't supposed to know about that because you would have to circumnavigate the globe to do it. So that don't make Charles Darwin better than us. That's simply saying he did something that we wasn't able to do at the particular time. And then how about those elbows or people acting like they Native Americans? See, all these things tap into that religious thought. That's why science is so important, because it allows African Americans, European Americans, Irish Americans, whatever you want to, however you want to put it, it allows humanity to take a snapshot and understand the world they live in and recognize that just because your eyes look this way, just because your skin look that way, just because your hair is this and that don't mean we not the same thing. We're all African savanna apes. Yeah. Simple as that. Mutated to our environments. If we understand this, we can treat each other better. Okay. One more point here, Mandisa. The point they really made, oh, the Bible don't disrespect the women. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Where's the major woman prop? They got to dig underneath to brush some dust off the book and find a prophetess somewhere you never heard of. You know what I'm saying? God is definitely a man, right? You get people saying, well, no, it's that word is like indicative. It don't really mean man. It mean man to my grandmother. How about that? See, they play this game. Well, we got the ancient Christianity where it was black people. Wait a minute. My great grandmother, my mother, and them, they ain't learned about the ancient Christianity. They learned about the Leonardo da Vinci Christianity, where you see God reach out and Adam, they touch hands. They're Europeans. Okay, they learned about Christianity from the Catholic Church that financed Christopher Cologne and them to get you, quote unquote, Americas. They wrote the Papist Bulls. They drew the line down the map and they said, anybody that you find is not a Christian, you can bring them to Christ. And this is what Queen Nzinga ran into. Okay, so no, my mother and them didn't spend $100,000 to go to theology school. Okay, to know that no, first Christians wasn't Europeans and Jesus Christ couldn't have looked like a European. No, we didn't get that. We didn't get that version as the whip was cracking your back. You got the version of Leonardo da Vinci where Jesus is a white man and so on. And then out of that comes the lie that all of a sudden Jesus is the African. None of that's true. Let him be who he is. It's in the documentation. He's in Judea. He's in Palestine. He's in that area. That is fine. Right? This message is for African people. I ain't talking to nobody else right now. African Americans, Black Americans, freedmen or freed women, however you want to put it. I'm talking to y'all right now. I'm simply saying that why is it that you make coming to America prior to colonialism so damn important? Why? Why is it that we would have to do every damn thing? Stop acting like white people at this point. Let me change that. Stop acting like colonial powers. Stop acting like that. We don't have to do everything. Hell, we had a 350,000 year lead on the rest of humanity in Africa. Do you know how large Africa is? We have the foundation of what would later on become science and reasoning. I didn't say we had science. We had proto-science. Okay? But this is the foundation of understanding nature. You do not get to Nassau, you do not get to this without those early African societies working on astronomy. And oh, by the way, when your babies look at this, even if they can't read, they should say, hey, Dad, I know what this is. What is it? My son, my daughter. Oh, it's the proof. Okay, it's the mathematical proof of the remnants. It's a fossil radiation of the Big Bang. They call it the CMB, the cosmic background radiation. So the babies early on in your house have these books sitting on the table and say, Daddy, what's that? I said, this is the remnants, the radiation of the CMB, cosmic background radiation. Well, what do you mean? Well, as as the Big Bang, which is very confusing because science is counterintuitive. It wasn't actually a bang, it was an expansion. And the farther away you get from the expansion, the 300 billion years, however you want to put it, it gets cooler. Okay, the closer you are to the expansion, is hotter. So the red represents the hotter areas, and the blue represents the cooling area that is expanded out farther. Your babies need to know that. And oh, by the way, African Americans, Black Americans, when your kids ask you, Daddy, Mommy, where do we come from? Where do we start? Don't send them to the preacher. I'm not saying you don't have, I'm not saying throw your religion away. Send them to science class. This is all I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for use the tools you got. So I think that's important to the African American community, okay, to use these tools properly. Hell, the Catholic Church financed Copernicus and Galileo. This is the Catholic Church.
Right.
Religious people. Now, you know, when they get tired of you, you get too slick for them and go outside of what they can do, then they put you on house arrest. Oh, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
But I'm never saying that African Americans can't be religious. I'm saying we need to balance that shit out a little bit. Excuse my language. But I watch the podcast. Y'all do the people cuss every now and then. I made sure I was on code. I ain't gonna do too much. But we gotta do
you
this.
Good. You good.
We right here. We right here. And I don't know how y'all voted. All I know is what in the hell was wrong with the African American male, Black male? They talk crazy about this system. Let me get this straight. I got to say this.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, the Black Power crowd and the conscious crowd, they be the ones to say, the Egyptians is black. All right, that's not even an answer, but okay. But then they'll tell you, Kamala not black. Then they'll use the one-drop rule for the Egyptians, but Kamala can't get the one-drop rule?
It was
that astonishing of the ignorance that occurred during this election.
Right there got it for me.
You know what it was, though? It was the literacy level. It was the scientific literacy level that had us acting crazy. Oh, Obama, I can't believe they was offended. I'm offended at Obama that he would tell us why would we vote for racists. Man, that man was having a conversation like he would have with any of his brothers and sisters, man. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was simply saying, be aware of what's going on. I've been in the daggone thing, man. This guy is wild. Now I'm sitting around laughing now because the very people that voted for him, man, are being affected now. There you go. There you go. They're
finding out. I wanted to ask a quick question. I know we're running a little bit over here, but I'm sure you have probably come across Black folks who are in the conscious community, as you had stated. And how do you reconcile this argument that they come with the fact that there are historical harms from medical science in the Black community? And then how do you balance that against the need for us for science to become a bigger part of our lives moving forward?
Okay. So, in case you didn't know, this book is Principles of Virology. Okay, Vincent Roccanella. All right. John F. Kennedy Jr. It's a dedicated pseudo. Okay. I debated him and his clan, his whole clan of them, right? In the great Harlem debate, vaccines. Now, this conversation was prior to the daggone pandemic. The question is, why in the hell was I talking about vaccines prior to the pandemic? And then how did I know? Because science is based off of predictions. The greatest level in science is predictions. And so if you read the material, you knew it was about that time again for a pandemic to come through.
Right.
So as I debated John F. Kennedy Jr., okay, going against reason, going against high-level medical science, because that's your question, right?
Right.
I understood at that point it was a need. I understood that we was actually in trouble based off our literacy level. Like, for instance, I don't want to take those synthetic drugs. I want to take the natural herbs. Well, you know, the body only reads molecules. The body don't know the difference between a synthetic concoction, chemical concoction, and a natural. It's the same thing. It's molecules. And oh, by the way, your herbs do not cause an immune response. So you literally had people going against high-level medical science for herbs and elderberries and fruits and vegetables, which are innocuous. That means they do not cause an immune response, not unless you have something wrong, like an inversion or like an aversion to peanuts. You're allergic to it, and it will cause an immune response. Okay, and even it's just like heart. If you have a surgery and they put in a new heart, your immune system will attack it. Okay, because it's not of self. In the literature, they say non-self, meaning if it was born with you, it's of self. If it's not born with you, then it's outside of yourself. So anything that comes into the body, okay, your immune system can attack it. And so the very reason herbs don't work is because the body recognizes the molecules as being innocuous, not harmful. And so herbs do not cause an immune response. You need an immune response to develop the antibodies against the quote unquote disease or the pathogen. Okay. And so understanding evolution. That's why I gave it to them in steps. Understand evolution. Now you can apply evolutionary theory to viruses. Viruses evolve. We've seen it in real time. Immune system. Got to understand the immune system on why vaccines wasn't what you thought. It's different from the pharmaceutical thing, right? It's not medicine. Vaccines is totally different. It's one of the safest fields, right? Doesn't mean because the safest field something can't go wrong. Doesn't mean that nothing is perfect, right? But the thing that gets me the most, right, with the quote unquote conscious community, the ones that claim to love Black people and Black power and all that, the thing that get me the most is that inoculation in the Americas in the 1700s come from indigenous African slaves. So your ancestors brought the technology of fighting the pathogen with the pathogen. I'm not sitting here saying that they knew the hell they was doing. What I'm saying is they recognized that if I was to take some pus from an infected person, right, cut a slit in a healthy person, just enough of it, it would cause them to get sick. But after they got sick, then they would have protection against the smallpox.
Right.
Onesimus in Boston, he's an enslaved African with this. So enslaved African slave colonies wasn't worrying about the smallpox, and oftentimes Europeans was wondering, like Cotton Mathis, he's the purported owner of Onesimus. They wondering like, why y'all not worried about it? So it wasn't the pandemic or the smallpox that actually messed up the slave colonies at times, right? It was the fact that their counterparts, the Europeans, would get sick and couldn't bring in the food and would have to stay, they wouldn't let the ships embark and get the stuff off, right? And so a lot of the Africans died from starvation during these pandemics. But like I said, the thing that get me the most is you actually fighting against the foundation, what would later on become the mRNA vaccine. Remember I talked about earlier from astronomy to NASA, I kind of talked about that. Well, from inoculation, 75 years later, Edwin Jenner would develop the vaccine, the first vaccine. And he took some pox from the cow. Okay, it's in a pox family. From milkmaiden would get these blisters on their fingers, right? So he recognized it and he dried it out. The pus dried it out and he put it in a formula, and that would be your first vaccines. But the most African Americans don't know that the foundation of that came from early African slave colonies in America that actually saved them. So you fight against the things that your ancestors did the whole time, praising you got our back. I'm promoting Black. No, you promoting Black pseudoscience. You promoting misinformation. You're uneducated for no apparent reason. Oh, don't go to school. It's crazy. African people are by far on the continent of Africa the first people before humans left out of Africa, right, to start to develop these cognitive skills. 160,000 years old. Imagination is all there, right? They thought it was in Europe at 30,000, and they found it extended to 160,000. They called them thinking, early ritual. All these things start in Africa. The foundation of modern science, it's steps. So if you take away a step, you take away the mRNA vaccine. And so stop trying to overemphasize things that are not true. Get back into your deep-rooted history, best explained through anthropology, okay, which is the study of culture. All right. Yes, these things have been racist. Yes, we understand scientific racism. We understand it. But why do we understand it? Because they have changed and we know about it. And so the best tool we got for humanity, okay, is science and technology. Okay. And understanding that, we need to do this.
Right.
Balance it out.
Mm-hmm. There's balance. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to walk up in a place where they boxing and shoot a person.
Right.
You go back boxing, right? So
I
I'm
mean,
saying we misusing tools, we misunderstanding tools. And just because I'm an atheist, don't mean I dislike you and your God. Don't mean I hate your God. I don't. I'm simply saying that your God is a cultural container of ideas formulated by humans. Men were your homosexual cults. Now, I say that for a reason, because they dislike the women. I'm not beating up a person's sexuality. I'm simply saying don't make a whole book around it and marginalize another person because of it, because of the way you think. Okay, don't do that. That's wrong. Okay, it's not wrong that you choose your sexual partners. The wrong part about it is that you force it on somebody else. That's not right. Don't make a whole religious treaty based off of the dysfunction of not wanting a woman to be a woman. Oh, you know what, she had to be, you know, if she had sex, that's not divine. It came, the Holy Ghost gave it to her. You get that, right? Like that's, I'm saying that's bananas, and it's arrogancy and it's disrespect to the sisters. So if you go back to the channel in the comments, thousands of black women, man, talking crazy about Mandisa. They ain't saying much about me because they know. They know I go in the comments. See, I get in the comments. Bop, 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 bop. You know, my keyboard karate is better than yours. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I say all that to say, man, I appreciate y'all got me coming through, man. And I think
yes,
it's a great day.
Yes.
To be on the Black Non-Believers, man, to sit back and see how your thing grow. I remember it in its infancy. I remember saying, she don't know the hell she talking about. But
you found out.
I found out, but guess what though? I'm saying, but that's a learning lesson for me. Like I never made that mistake again.
Well,
as I seen them billboards, I was like, damn, she got me. And I'm a competitor. I said, damn.
Yeah, so I think
hold on. Damn. You know, when you see the big lights and the billboard driving down there, you say, she got you, bro. She was right. I said, damn.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it was no denying that. I say, yo, I gotta, hey man, that's fine. I can do nothing but laugh. I say, man, I lost that one for sure. The billboards, the organization. I'm saying you brought organization to atheism.
Yeah.
See, I don't think you realize what y'all actually do. Y'all brought organization to not believing in the nonsense. Okay? Made it very palatable for African Americans. When I'm swinging, acting crazy, I don't know, I hear you, but y'all made it palatable, and most of all, y'all organized it in a way where people could at least sit down, not howling, screaming at a level of education, and relate to what you're saying. That was the mistake I made. Now I'm on my journey to making sure that happens. But that comes from y'all doing what y'all do. That comes from the sister. That comes from you. Y'all don't realize what role y'all actually play, right? It's a serious role, and it needs to be taken seriously. I'm telling you that the sisters need you more than ever, because in those comments, it's hundreds of sisters talking crazy, disrespecting themselves and not even knowing they're disrespecting themselves. So you saying now that having sex is filthy and dirty? Couldn't be. It's part of the natural things that humans do for reproduction. It's part of our experience.
Or even just for pleasure. I mean, it's just
that's the next step. Even for pleasure, because that's what humans do. Regardless of the sexual partner you choose, right? That's your business. That's what you do. That's not the issue. The issue is to disrespect a person based off of that. Because no matter what you think you are, right? If you're a respecting person, you respecting each other, man, and you got something that's gonna help me, I got to take that. I got to be able to grow in it. And oh, by the way, Africans and African Americans are humans, and having choice and sexuality has been with humans since the beginning. So I start to question people that's on a soapbox, I'm not doing the gay thing. I was like, wow, dog. I say, why are you making too much noise?
Yeah.
You're doing a little bit too much. Let me see where you at with it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm comfortable in my sexuality. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable with that. Right? So if you're comfortable with that, then you don't got a problem with that. I'm comfortable with my atheism. I don't have a problem with you believing in God at all. My only problem is when you cross into the space and start talking reckless and be disrespectful and acting like it's not. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then act like you ain't doing what you was doing. That's what they did on that show. They act like they weren't doing what
Right.
they was doing. You
Right.
was, man. You got this is a sister, sees a flower, treat a flower like a flower, regardless of whether she believes or she doesn't. Your Christianity should have told you y'all was out of order, but see, they God did not inform and instruct them that they was tripping. And
Yeah.
that's why I stay away from it.
Yes. All right. And we are going to mic drop right there.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Mic drop. But thank you so much, Ankh, for being on the show today. Thank you to all the pseudo killers in the chat, everyone who came over from the other platforms, and thank you to all of our regular subscribers. We're gonna head out here, and be sure to follow, subscribe to Ankh's channel at the Community of Skeptics, and we
The pseudo
also
killers,
shared your
2 channels,
website.
pseudo
Yeah,
killers,
yeah, pseudo killers and the Community of Skeptics. And how do you pronounce your website name? Abjudaware?
Abju. Abjuware.
Adju.
A
Abjuware.
B D J U W E
Yeah.
A R.
We shared the link in that chat. Please check it out. We're gonna end here. And again, we thank you all so much. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Come to the Revival of Reason in March. Support the work that we do at Black Nonbelievers. I will say that Ankh will be there. You know, he's going to be in the building probably that Saturday. So come on and join him. Come on and join us, you know, for how you see the community work that being does. So check us out. So
And
we're going
to make sure you check Black Nonbelievers meetup for events in your area.
Yes.
Make sure we do have some upcoming events in your area. So check that out on Meetup.
Yes, thank y'all so much once again. Check out our website, check out our merch. Thank you once again, Ankh, for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Can I shout out the sisters in the chat?
All right.
The hard heads don't need no shout out. But big up the Miss Tiff, big up the Juju. I appreciate her. Those 2 sisters right there have worked tirelessly to make sure I ain't running around like a buffoon, howling and screaming like a nut. They have organized what we doing. And you know, those sisters, they organize, and sisters are organizers. And I just want to shout them out, and I appreciate them for all they do.
Awesome. Shout out to them. Shout out to Miss Tiffany. Yes. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.